Hey everyone, and welcome to week 13 in our Modern U.S. History course. This section I've titled A New Millennium in honor of Will Smith. We'll be looking at the era between 1987 and just before the year 2000. So the Bush H.W. presidency as well as the Clinton presidency. I believe we've got a quick series of clips to go through before we get into the material. ReactBot, you want to take that away?
This makes me want to dance.
And look, for what it's worth, back in 1986, Ventura actually tried to unionize wrestlers, which could have dramatically improved their working conditions, but McMahon stamped it out hard. And if that makes you want to see someone stamp him out hard, I actually have some good news for you. Is better than the things you like. Releases the company from all liability for damage resulting in permanent injury or death, even if caused by its own negligence, which is a crazy thing for McMahon to put in a contract, and frankly enough to make you want to see him be on the receiving end of his own medical mishap.
How about your foot?
So we like about that. Still technically more helpful than the...
Love.
Easy to forget just how ferocious and devastating the public attention was.
Hey, pal, get your arms off her.
I don't even know how to begin to describe what it was, but it was to see my face on TV, to read my name in the newspaper. People have no idea what this has done. What this has done, that behind the name Monica Lewinsky, there's a person and there is a family, and there has been so much pain that has been caused by all this, and it was so destructive. It was so destructive.
That's horrifying. And it's impossible to imagine how bad that was. But for a second, just try. Think of the dumbest thing you did when you were young. Not the dumbest thing you got caught doing. The dumbest thing you did. The thing you stole, or cheated on, or accidentally sexted. And again, I am sorry, Mom. Now imagine hearing about that every single day for decades on end. That's a little bit of what it was like to be Monica Lewinsky. And I know everything about the subject of public shaming is complicated, but Monica Lewinsky might actually be the perfect person to remind all of us what the consequences can be to a misdirected flood of public anger. And the reason I know this is that I sat down with Monica earlier this week, and this is what happened.
Bruh, I'm so dumb, bruh. Skill issue.
New shocker in the O.J. Simpson trial. This afternoon, Judge Lance Ito dismissed yet another juror, a 45-year-old African-American male, for failing to tell the court that he had once worked for Hertz Rent-A-Car and that he had once held Nicole Brown Simpson's glasses while O.J. killed her. Dismissed Simpson juror Jeanette Harris revealed in interviews this week that the jury is torn by dissension and is already divided into two camps: those who think he is guilty and those who are really, really stupid.
It's reacting time.
But now one Teletubby, the little purple figure carrying a handbag, is the target of Jerry Falwell's conservative religious magazine, the doll accused of being gay.
Then it was Tinky Winky's turn to wear the skirt.
Falwell's National Liberty magazine calls the purple Teletubby, named Tinky Winky, a gay role model, damaging to the moral lives of children.
It is being perceived by the gay community out there as something good for them.
Falwell says he did not research the issue himself, but his magazine, with 295,000 subscribers, points to what it says is evidence that the creators of the series intend for Tinky Winky to be a gay role model have surfaced. He is purple, the gay pride color, and his antenna is shaped like a triangle, the gay pride symbol.
Our interest is in being sure that parents are aware of what their children are watching and are sitting down themselves.
The show's producers say none of the four Teletubbies has a sexual identity, and the colors were chosen because they're bright.
Things I wish I knew as a first-time mom.
His career. He was an artist, an innovator, an entrepreneur, a voice actor, and a television host. but the title that he was most proud seemed to be Patriot. Walt Disney's fascination and love for his country found its way into many of his films and projects. In his own words, Disneyland is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America. Main Street USA and Frontierland were meant to capitalize on Walt's personal nostalgia for Americana, and he would attempt to implement more aspects of United States history throughout his theme parks.
Slow your roll, pal.
What do you got with RPG? Coming up on your side, now! Stay with it!
This is 6-1, I'm hit. Super 6-1 is hit. He is hit. Walcott's bird is hit.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Now, let's take a look. For our assigned materials for this week, we've got 2 audiobooks, Bush the Elder, Struggling in Reagan's Shadow, and Bill Clinton, the New Democrat. As always, these audiobooks have PDFs available on the site as well. We've got several assigned materials for this week, and I've kind of divided them out into different categories, the reason for which will be explained later. In this, we've got several cultural as well as technological elements that we're going to be looking at. First video is War for Disney's America. This touches on a lot of the patriotic efforts that were going on in Disney, as well as a planned expansion of the parks. We have Dungeons & Dragons, the Satanic Panic. There was a attitude within the country at the time that Dungeons & Dragons was a evil game that taught people to cease being Christian and to embrace the occult and Satan. This touches on that. Similar sorts of satanic panics happened for more modern rock music, happened for technology in general. Video games saw a massive accusation of satanic involvement, and it characterized a lot of the period of the late 80s and 90s, claiming that Satan was infesting our entertainment system in America. We have a video on Marilyn Manson and the Columbine shootings. For a lot of you, the reaction to Columbine's probably going to seem pretty weird. It was in the national headlines for months on end, and there were extensive debates going on about it, whereas nowadays, if there's a school shooting, it generally fades from the public memory within a matter of days. This touches on an element of that debate that was going on. A lot of blame was thrown in a lot of different directions, much as it is nowadays, and that video is rather good, direct statement from Marilyn Manson themselves. We have games, torrents, and piracy, the secret history of Whereas groups. I was a member of some Whereas groups back in the day. These were early online criminals hacking various software files, getting into systems left, right, and center. They were an interesting and diverse group of people, and though not particularly sizable in number, their influence was widespread. So take a peek at that video. There's a similar video later on that touches on when the internet was new, as well as an article on Y2K and GeoCities. Y2K was actually a very real thing. It was not the comedic, oh, nothing happened, that a lot of people talk about. As a former computer programmer myself, it's widely known within the IT and programming communities that a lot of improvements came out of the Y2K project. It allowed programmers to justify upgrading 20, 30, 40, 50-year-old computer systems in order to have them be modernized and safeguarded against Y2K. There wasn't widespread chaos from the switchover from 1999 to 2000 in the computer systems like a lot of people predicted. There were some minor ones where things were missed, where small businesses got particularly hit by suddenly crashing systems. But the fact that we were able to go in and essentially update the software on all of our nuclear silos was a massive improvement, especially considering how old and how antiquated some of those systems were. After about 50 years, a lot of programming languages fade from knowledge. It's very hard to find somebody who knows how to write in COBOL nowadays. So, the subject of Y2K, the subject of early tech, is particularly interesting to us in the modern era, especially to find analogs. An Ode to GeoCities touches on the GeoCities website. It was something of the precursor to social media. You could go out there, you get a free website for it would contain between 2 and 10 megabytes of information. So not exactly the biggest site by any means, but back in the day, all of the coding was done manually. So you had hyper optimized websites where it was, as little code as possible being transmitted to keep things underneath the established limits and to transmit over very, very, very slow internet connections. So Ode to GeoCities and Y2K was real and a programming success. Both articles that you're going to have in there, but both very good reads. We have a video on Norm Macdonald and O.J. Simpson. The O.J. Simpson situation where he murdered his ex-wife and her partner is heavily talked about. Norm Macdonald is a fantastic comedian. He's passed away now, unfortunately. And the video in question, the series of jokes he made on O.J. Simpson actually ended up getting him fired from SNL. But his discussion of OJ highlights a lot of issues within the criminal justice system, as well as just general race relations within America through a comedic lens. So it's easier to take that information in and see it from the satirical side rather than just reading the dry information. We have a video on the Hamlet chicken processing plant fire. This has a lot of parallels to the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, and it was a lot more recent. So give a look at that, especially if you wrote on or are familiar with the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, because it shows how we've improved, but also some things we really, really, really need to keep working on with regard to workplace safety. We have a video on the 1993 Milwaukee cryptosporidium outbreak, a sizable public health crisis that doesn't really get talked about all that much. So interesting and local material. We have a video on the gay Tinky Winky Teletubbies coverage. This was interesting because it allowed a lot of discussion and debate of homosexual rights at a time when it wasn't necessarily okay to talk directly about gay people. And it highlights some of the shift in public attitudes that you're going to see a lot more prominently after the year 2000 towards homosexual rights. So it's an interesting glimpse into the 90s debate on the subject without getting directly into things that people just weren't comfortable touching on at the time, interestingly. We have a video on WWE and Vince McMahon. Yes, this is the second one of these. Wrestling is a fantastic method to look at the most unethical business practices in a country. There is a carnival attitude towards it, and anything that a promoter can get away with exploiting, they generally will, especially someone like Vince McMahon. The video details how a lot of the 80s and 90s deregulation policies, as well as laws that were made to allow for independent contractors could be exploited to allow a company to hire on tons of temps or independent contractors who are effectively employees, but you're able to skirt around the laws and either not provide them health insurance or skimp them on various expected worker protections. So really, really interesting video that has some parallels, as well as you get to see Vince McMahon getting kicked in the crotch and the face and hit over the head with a bedpan, which is always nice. We have a video on lessons that were learned from the Human Genome Project, a massive scientific undertaking that led to many of the medical advancements that we've had in the last 25, 30 years that people really aren't aware of. We didn't have a lot of information on genetic diseases until the Human Genome Project was completed, and then we could conduct research based on the findings that it had. So something to make yourself familiar with, especially if you're not already aware of it. We also have a video on the Exxon Valdez oil spill. This was a massive oil spill that happened during the time, and there's going to be more oil spills happening throughout human history. Interesting way to look at how this major one was dealt with. As for politics, law enforcement, and foreign policy, we have a video on why America's police look like soldiers. If you look at anything from the 80s or before, our police look very, very different. Once Reagan came into office, military equipment started being used by law enforcement in increasing numbers, and in 1990, under Bush, we actually saw the formal giving of excess military equipment for free to police departments. So the prevalence of assault weapons and body armor and armored vehicles really kicks up towards the end of the 80s, and it's an interesting way to look at the evolution of law enforcement within America. Have a video on Dan Quayle misspelling potato, so that you can see what used to constitute a major scandal. Dan Quayle looked rather dumb to some people for spelling potato with an E at the end. We have a video showcasing the first televised three-way presidential debate. The election of 1992 has a lot of commonalities back to the election of 1916. When we first talked about it, a lot of you drew connections to the Trump-Clinton election, where Clinton won the primary vote, or the popular vote. But there's actually a lot more commonality between 1916 and 1992 due to the prevalence of the third-party candidate, Ross Perot. We actually have an article that's going to come up a little bit later called "It's Perot Stupid." It's a play on the Clinton campaigns. It's the Economy Stupid platform. And seeing a third candidate in the debate is very different from what Americans have seen. It structures things differently, and it resulted in different and new ideas being expressed, one of which was about NAFTA. And we have a video on NAFTA that came from Bernie Sanders. Be aware there is a little bit of a slant to that because of who it is, but it's a good video. It touches on how NAFTA has cost America around 900,000 jobs since its inception. There are some benefits to NAFTA as well, especially with regard to overall economic growth. A lot to debate around NAFTA, and something that you're actually going to see debated during that presidential debate. We have a video on the Highway of Death, the most controversial event of the Gulf War. The United States did not have a lot of fatalities during the Gulf War, and this is in large part because we just launched missiles at people. We killed tons and tons of fleeing Iraqis by destroying their vehicles and killing them with missiles on the highway leading Baghdad. I have a video on why evangelical Christians love Israel. During this time period, major Christian-based programs started up in support of Israel. The largest American organization related to Israel is actually a Christian organization, not APIC, something a lot of people aren't familiar with. And this video helps explain a lot of that transition into supporting Israel that happened within the conservative movement of this time. We have a video on the Oklahoma City bombing, as well as a video on Waco. This touches on some of the anxieties between more far-right individuals and the establishment within the country during the time period we're looking at. Next, we've got three videos, as well, two videos and a document on some changes that happened in 1995. In 1995, the Republican Party had a surge in the midterms coming up, and they had a thing called the Contract with America. Through this, there were numerous attempts to reform the government, and the Clinton administration actually embraced a lot of these efforts and collaborated with the Congress in a bipartisan way to enact these reforms, similar to what we saw with Carter in 1980 with the Paperwork Reduction Act that was signed then. We also look at the government shutdown of 1995 and the National Performance Review. National Performance Review was a massive undertaking by the Clinton administration that actually resulted in huge amounts of federal employees being laid off and the government shrinking down to the size it was under JFK. So a massive scaling back of the size of the federal workforce, and through the Paperwork Reduction Act of 1995's modernizing programs, shifting federal work from massive file cabinets where paper records are stored to a digital system, which was a large part of why they were able to let so many people go. We have a video on the Yugoslav wars, huge part of the 90s. There were all kinds of massacres that were going on in the area of what was formerly Yugoslavia. It's a very complex undertaking, and the U.S. was very involved in it. We have 3 videos and an article on Black Hawk Down / fighting in Somalia. The Black Hawk Down film came out in the early 2000s and shaped a lot of the memory of a historical event that happened within 10 years of the release of the video. This gives a view into public perception of historical events and how they can be shaped. We have the actual video of the helicopter being shot down. We have reports on the ground from various people who were involved in the actual events. And we've got the movie. And the vast majority of Americans understand the event through the film. It's a very entertaining film, but there are a few historical inaccuracies throughout it. So it's an interesting way to look at how the narrative around this event was actually shaped pretty close to in real time. We have a video from SNL called Bill, Saddam, and Monica Have a Three-Way Call. We have a video from Jay Leno where he's talking about Lewinsky. And we have a video on public shaming. These 3 all kind of flow into each other. They touch heavily on the Lewinsky scandal, sex scandal that happened towards Bill Clinton that resulted in his impeachment. And it talks about, in public shaming, the second half of that video has an interview with Monica Lewinsky in present day where she talks about what going through that was like for her and some of the elements of it. She was in her 20s at the time of the incident and was sexually coerced by the most powerful man on the planet. So it has some very interesting topics to discuss, especially in a modern setting, more removed from some of the polarization of the time. What's due for this week? We've got your week 13 discussion board. This is going to be 600 words long, but you don't have any structured questions. 10 points as usual. Reply to at least 2 classmates. The 600 word requirement for your initial response, mind, just initial, this is not 600 across the whole thing, is actually to help you. The final is coming up, and you can use discussion board information to help bolster what you're writing for your final. You know what the final topics are going to be, so go in there, do your responses, make sure you're replying to at least one thing in each subcategory, so one thing from the audiobooks, one thing from the culture tech section, and one thing from the law enforcement, politics, and foreign policy section. So pick at least one thing from each of those areas. You don't have to just pick one thing. If you're listening to the audiobooks and 5 things jump out to you that might be relevant for your final, go ahead and talk about all of them, because you're going to be able to lift that information, lift the ideas that get generated from that. And if students reply to you, you're going to get other perspectives that you can talk about. So please, even if you're done with your discussion boards and you have 100, you have 10s in all of them, feel free to go in and participate in this discussion, because the talk that you're going to have in here could be used to help you more quickly write your final. And since you are able to share information with each other and have those conversations, you could theoretically collaborate in small ways to bolster each other's final grades. There's nothing wrong with doing something like that. If this were an in-person class, I would not say, hey, you two can't talk about what you're going to be writing on the final. Let's say, okay, go ahead and do that. Just don't submit the same paper or share your actual final with each other. It's just a matter of discussion rather than straight up paper collaboration. So what's on the final? You can feel free to pause this slide if you want to take a read of the potential topic areas. The format is going to be similar to the midterm. I have one student who is recording a video. If you're interested in doing that, get in contact with me ASAP so that we can arrange things, make sure that you're doing everything from an actual academic perspective. Your topic areas are listed below. I've also got them out on Canvas. Please, please, please give them a read. Office hours are, as always, on appointment, but please make those appointments. I can see the university from my desk right now. I like to come in, but I need to know when you're going to be there, so I'm not just, hanging out alone in my office when you're trying to come in at 4 p.m. So, with that all stated, I think we've got some sumo coming up. I hope you have a wonderful week. Reactbot, you want to take it away?
Straight to jail.
Well, I wouldn't say straight to jail, straight to sumo. Let's go! All right. So, for today's bout, we're going to have Aunishki, the Ukrainian sumo wrestler, versus Ura. Ura is quite thrilling. He dives around and bounces all over the place, and Aunishki is just a machine of sumo. So, let's get into it. Reactbot, do you have anything you want to say?
Skibbity, go to the polls.
Okay, fine. Let's get into this.
The second of our bouts of the day, Ura and Aunishki. Ura 3-2. Aunishki with that loss yesterday with a defeat against Wakataga Kage. 4-1. It's a first time meeting, so some unknowns here. Ura can be tricky. And I'm not sure he's doing that kind of sumo these days. He tends to be a little more reserved and move forward in textbook style. But Aunishki has got great lower body strength. Now he goes in really low, Ura, to try and raise up Aunishki. Aunishki thrusting and pushing back. It's a thrusting battle. To the edge, Ura, he slips to the side to try and slap down Aunishki. Now in deep with the left hand is Aunishki. Right hand onto the arm. No, now he's got a Mawashi grip, Aunishki. Can he move forward and move him out? Yes, he does. Yori Kitty. So he bounces back from the loss yesterday to go to 5-1. Remains one off the pace. Ura now 3-3, and a nice round of applause from the fans appreciating the battle. First time meeting goes the way of Aunishki. He's just so solid in the lower body. And the call of the Gyoji in sync with the speed of the bout.
What a fantastic bout. I hope you're all having a fantastic week as well. If there's anything I can do to help, please reach out to me. I hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.